Hi, and welcome to some baking tips and tricks with Miss G. So today we're going to be going over some dry measuring cups, how to measure with them, some measuring spoons, also how to measure out liquids using a liquid measuring cup. So to start, we'll start with our dry measuring cup. So here I have a quarter of a cup. We're going to start with using flour. So how I like to start measuring flour, I always keep my flour in a airtight concealer to keep it nice and fresh. This is actually almond flour, which is what I personally use. When I'm getting flour, I like to overload it just to get the air pockets out, and I use a leveler. You can also use a knife, a spoon, anything to get that nice and leveled out. So I would put that in my cup, in my bowl. Next, another way to measure out a dry ingredient, we'll use sugar. This is just regular granulated white sugar, so a little different than our flour. You do not have to really airtight anything, but if you wanted to just level it off, you can get a little bit in there, level it off, dump it right in as well. So that is how to properly use a dry ingredient cup. Next we have our dry ingredient spoons. A lot come on one container, starting with a tablespoon, going to 1 teaspoon, and then giving us smaller teaspoons. These are usually used to measure out baking soda, can be used to measure out vanilla, baking powder, any type of cinnamon or spices. So we'll just do a nice half teaspoon of baking powder. I bake with baking powder a lot. Most baking powders come with a leveler on it already, so instead of using a knife, you can just use the nice tip of this to get a beautiful even right on top. So that is our baking powder, so that's a dry ingredient. Now with our vanilla, I like to also do my liquid ingredients over a separate bowl just in case over pour, which happens quite often. Heavy pour likes to drip in the other bowl. Just give it a nice even, I already dropped some in, and then pour it into the bowl that I need with my necessary ingredients. And then last, we have our liquid measuring cup, which I like to use for water. I do use it with honey, I use it with agave, maple syrup, anything that I like to use with that. So we'll start with water. When you're measuring liquid ingredients, it's super important to get eye level. Use a size of a liquid measuring cup that's appropriate for the amount that you're making. So this is a smaller one just because I'm using a smaller batch of ingredients, and just for my filter's not over here. So I want to pour in about 1/4 of a cup of water, of liquid. So I kind of get down to eye level, make sure that I am at the correct amount, which is 2 ounces of water. So I got down, it was a pretty good pour. And then I would just pour that in my liquid. When using honey or maple syrup or anything thick of nature, since I'm using a little bit, I'll actually use it with my measuring spoons. I'll do a 1/2 teaspoon as well as this. But a trick that I like to use is using either an olive oil or a avocado oil spray, and just to spray my spoon a little bit so I get a nice come off of the honey, because we know honey likes to stick. So we just go right in and put it right in my spoon, and then I get no stick in my spoon. It's a nice trick that I like to use. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope some of these tips and tricks helped.